Ever wonder if your choices are really your own or if sneaky biases are guiding them? Hello and welcome back. I'm Sven Mulfinger, a serial entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in leadership development. Last time we talked about the different hidden biases that can twist our thinking. Now let's talk about them more in detail. Confirmation bias. Picture this scenario. You fully believe that the latest iPhone or Android phone is the best smartphone available. Enthralled about its features and brand reputation, you actively seek out information to support this belief. You spend hours reading articles, watching videos, and scrolling through social media posts that praise its innovative design, superior camera, and advanced technology. Each positive review reinforces your belief, making you more convinced of its superiority. However, in doing so, we unconsciously ignore or discount any negative feedback about the phone. Critical reviews discussing potential flaws, user complaints about battery life, or comparison with other brands that might offer more value for money are overlooked or rationalized away. This selective gathering of evidence is a classic example of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias isn't just about affirming positive beliefs. It also involves the avoidance of information that contradicts them. In the context of the iPhone or Android phone, even if credible sources point out significant drawbacks, our brain, influenced by confirmation bias, might downplay this information or question its validity. Anchoring bias. Let's say you're looking to buy a used car. The first one you see costs 20,000 euros. This price sticks in your mind and becomes your starting point for comparison. As you look for more cars, you still think that 20,000 euros is a good price for a car. Even if you find cars that are better or have less mileage, you still think about how they compare to that 20,000 one. So if another car costs 18,000, it feels like a good deal. But not really because it's the best choice, it's just because it's cheaper than the first car you saw. And if there's a car for 22,000 with better feature and better shape, it might seem too expensive because you're still thinking about the first car's price. This way of thinking, where the first price you see influences how you judge other prices, can lead to the wrong decisions. That first price sets a kind of hidden standard in your mind for all the other prices, even if it's not the best standard to use. Bandwagon effect. Maybe at your office some workers start eating gluten-free foods. Maybe they started not because they're allergic to gluten, but because it's a popular health trend and lots of their friends are doing it. Then, even more people at your office begin to choose gluten-free foods too, just because they see others changing their diet. This is what we call the bandwagon effect. It's when people start doing something, like eating gluten-free, mainly because it's popular with the people around them, and not because they really need it for their health, or because they looked into it carefully themselves. Sunk cost fallacy. This is a classic for bigger companies. Imagine a company has invested heavily in a new software system. As they implement it, they realize it's not meeting their needs, and a different system would be far more efficient. But despite this, they continue using the inefficient software because they don't want to lose the large investment they've already made. This is the sunk cost fallacy in a business context, where decisions are driven by past investment rather than current utility and future benefits. Groupthink effect. Think about the last time you or your team proposed a new idea. The idea is so good that some of your team really likes it. Now, even though some team members have serious doubts, they don't speak up. But why? They stay quiet because most of the team appears to be excited and sure about the plan. They hold back their different opinions because they don't want to break the team's agreement or seem that they're not on board. This situation, where no one wants to go against the group's view, is a typical example of groupthink and may lead to subestimate alternatives to make a better choice. Authority bias. Imagine you're a CEO or a manager or an expert. In a work meeting, you suggest a plan for a new project with energy and passion. Some people in your team are not sure if this project will work, but they don't say anything or propose alternatives. Why? They usually stay quiet because the idea is from you, the boss or the expert, and they think that since you're experienced and in charge, your idea must be a good one. The situation where the teams goes along with the boss or the expert's idea, even though they have their own doubts, is an authority bias and may lead to subestimate again better alternatives to your suggestion. Psychological science has identified and described hundreds of different cognitive biases that can affect our decisions as leaders. Now, despite the theory, knowing about them doesn't necessarily help us to avoid them. Our brains are wired in such a way that even when we are aware of these biases, we can still fall victim to them in practice. It's hard for us to recognize our own biases, and it's usually easier to spot them in others rather than in ourselves. Just think how many times you believed you were right when the other was wrong. This blind spot can create a false feeling of confidence, leading us, as leaders, to think that we are less biased than we really are, leading us to avoid exploring alternatives before deciding.